Hey, what's up, everybody? This is attorney Chris Steffen from the Limited Scope Law Group. I've been asked to make a video explaining the 5 problems that we can help solve for mortgage brokers, real estate agents. I'm making this as a video instead of going to a couple of offices and, doing it in person, bringing pizzas or donuts or whatever, because of the current situation. I'm obviously making the video from home. Nevertheless, I'll try to keep it brief so we can kind of get right into it. Okay, so number one, and this is going to come from the buyer's perspective. Let's say you, as an agent or a broker, have a buyer who's interested in using you to make a purchase, and they're a good earner, they have a down payment, but their credit isn't quite good enough to qualify for the loan that they're going to need to make this happen. Now, anyone that runs a credit repair agency can help them do a dispute letter. Your client, if they're, you know, capable, may be able to do that for themselves, but that does take time. But sometimes you're going to have issues that a simple dispute letter is not going to resolve. The issue on their credit isn't going to be something old, it isn't going to be something that's not them. It's going to be really a matter of maybe there's a collection account or something else on the credit report that is legit to be on the report but isn't completely accurate, and the rules state that they're going to have to be completely accurate. A credit repair agency in that situation will usually refer those customers over to litigators who pursue Fair Credit Reporting Act violations. Those kind of cases take years potentially to solve, which of course you're going to lose the deal. That happens. What we've done is taken a more aggressive approach in just on the idea that if they're violating one tenet of consumer law in terms of the reporting, they're probably violating some others, and we might be able to get a quicker turnaround time. Sometimes this works, sometimes it doesn't, but usually you can tell pretty quickly in whether or not it's even worth attempting. Um, but a lot of times we're looking at maybe 45, 60 days out. Sometimes we've actually been able to do it even faster, depending on how serious the customer is, as to where we are putting it into a time frame where you can keep the deal. Okay, so number two, and again, this relates to credit repair, but this time coming not from your actual buyer, but from your buyer's soon-to-be ex-spouse. See, what will happen in a lot of divorce cases is the one big asset they have is their home. And obviously, when they're getting divorced, they're probably not going to want to live together anymore. Your customer may be a buyer who's waiting for a buyout, a lump sum payment, not from selling their homes, but from their spouse getting a refinance in order to pay one spouse to leave the house. What will happen a lot of times, though, is that that spouse that's taking over refinancing the property may not qualify for the loan on their own, or may have issues on their credit that might slow it down. Most people, when they're going in and buying a home as a married couple, they need both incomes in order to qualify for whatever the loan amounts are. Plus, a lot of times, good earners will still have their credit hurt during a divorce. You go from a two-income household often to two households with two separate incomes. Plus, if they're fighting in the divorce prior to getting to the point of creating a buyout, what ends up happening is there are attorney fees, and we attorneys aren't cheap. We're expensive, and so you're seeing people at sort of their most vulnerable in their credit. And so one of the things that we can do is help that other party, not your buyer, but your buyer's soon-to-be ex-spouse, do the same thing we were going to do with them, to help their credit get up to par in a quick manner so that they can do the buyout, so that your buyer will have a down payment in order to make the deal. So, problem number three also involves divorce. Let's say you have a couple that knows that neither one of them are going to be able to buy the other one out. They're going to have to sell their property. Maybe they came to you as the real estate agent, real estate broker that they bought the house from, and they've at least agreed to come to you to sell it. That's not the end of their divorce issues. There may be other issues, when are the kids are going to be here or there, who's going to take on debt, is there going to be spousal support, all these other implications that maybe they don't agree on, and they're going to need help at least mediating. Divorce law is expensive. Having a divorce attorney where both sides are fighting can get really expensive. The ones who know what they're doing charge, $400 or $500 an hour. The ones who charge less than that and don't know what they're doing tend to actually even be more expensive because they make mistakes that the expensive guys are going to eventually need to clean up. However, let's say that they're 80-90% of the way there. They agree that they don't really, really want to fight. They just want to find an accommodation. That's something called collaborative law, where you have somebody mediate between the parties, and they can also do the paperwork on the marital settlement agreement, all the other, painful forms, boring forms that are going to be completed to process the divorce in the first place. We can do that as well, and can do that at a much faster process than if we were litigating. The sooner it happens, the sooner they get started, the better, because the longer it takes, the more they're likely to fight over things, as financial pressures of having those two separate households without the lump sum of whatever they're going to make from the sale of the house adds on. Okay, so problem number 4 is a little different. This is the issue related to title. Sometimes, for one reason or another, people will take their property and put children on title. This might be because they've gone to LegalZoom and didn't realize they shouldn't do that. It might be because they were just thinking in terms of estate planning. This is the best way to protect their child. It might be because they've got help from somebody who didn't know what they were doing. There's a number of reasons for it, and in that situation, the title company's not going to want to actually process a deal with title changes without sign off from all the parties on title. The issue is, of course, minor children can't sign off. So you get yourself in a situation where parents may actually need to go and sue for guardianship of their own children in order to be able to sell their property, so the property that they're coming to you as an agent or a broker to sell. If they were to go to a traditional law office that does guardianships, they're going to be priced as if they're litigating, as if someone else is fighting them over it, and they're going to be told we need $5,000, $10,000 to make that happen. And not everybody's going to necessarily be up for that. It seems like a silly thing to have to do, but that's the one way you get around this problem. We've done it before, we've dealt with it. It is less like dealing with a court case and more like dealing with the DMV. It's a bureaucratic mechanism to get the court to sign off on the guardianship. We've done them quite a few times. Um, it's more annoying than anything, but it is something that is resolvable. It's actually resolvable if they're motivated to get on it right away within the time frame of a deal happening. But it's something that you want to have cleared up prior to your listing if you can. But it is not something that's insurmountable. Okay, problem number 5 is just flat out money. Anytime you're having to send somebody to an attorney to get help, the first thing almost all of them are going to say is, I don't want to spend the money on the attorney. They're too expensive. I can't afford it. I don't have the cash on me. I don't like attorneys, whatever. You're likely to get a lot of stories about, well, I had this attorney this one time and they did this, this, and this. Um, that's the landscape, that's the reality. Does not change the fact that they're still going to necessarily need us. One of the things that makes what we offer a little unique compared to others is what we're doing is working towards a specific goal. We're not litigating to, make a federal case. We're trying to use the law as a means to an end, to help them and help you get the deal that you need. What that basically entails in terms of the issue for us is that we tend not to take on clients that we don't believe we're going to be able to help to get the deal. A lot of times because we're financed, where we're getting paid at the end. We get paid when you get paid. The way that works is very simple. It's called a hybrid. They put something down, So we know that they're serious about moving forward. If not, we'd just be spinning our wheels all the time. And then we make it a demand in escrow once the deal closes. What that basically means is we get paid for the most part when you get paid. So we don't want to drag it all out. We're talking about relatively chunk rates for the most part, unless there's other contingencies like they didn't tell us, other issues related to, say, a guardianship and title, or you have a divorce case where they're starting in a collaborative effort, and it turns out they really, really don't agree, and they have to fight. We don't just stick with one client or the other. We're just sort of out of it. They have to go lawyer up separately each. Um, the point of bringing all that up is that because of the way it's structured, somebody who's buying a house for $500,000, but maybe cash poor but house rich, or finance rich, they're going to be able to spend a little bit of money to make the deal happen if they need to, especially if it's going to be packaged into that loan. The other element here for us is that we don't want to waste our time spinning our wheels for somebody that's not going to get the deal in the first place. So if we see somebody who, has a terrible credit score that we can't really do much about, we don't waste time. We just say, listen, we can't really do it. You're never going to qualify for the loan that you're looking for. And we can't do anything about that. Or we see a divorce where one side is, not just saying, hey, I disagree over the spousal support thing, but, basically wants to, go after their ex no matter what. Well, that's not a good idea for a collaborative divorce. We're not going to waste our time. The benefit to you as an agent or broker that's referring to us is that you'll also know not to waste your time if these people really aren't serious. You're not going to be trying to forcing the deal together, because any deal that you do that way is likely to fall apart anyway.